Okay, so we are back and we are moving on to work on the top bar. Okay, so what we have here is where we ended the last time, and then we're just going to move on as usual. So we are basically going to create two new folders here. So I'm going to create the components folder. Okay, so we have the components folder, and then no, and then I'm going to click on this and create the um, pages folder. Okay, so we have the pages here, and inside the pages we are going to have what, the home page. So home.jsx as usual, home.jsx, and then inside the components we can work on the top bar. So here I'm going to just say top bar.jsx. No, top bar, just top bar, and then inside the top bar I can do it top bar.jss as usual. Top bar.jsx. Should it even be top bar? Just so we can be able to remember it a lot more easier. Let's make it navbar, right? Navbar.jsx. Let me change this to navbar.jsx. Oh no, why am I making these mistakes? Yeah, alright. So now that we have that, we can do what? Our AFC. We bring this out, and then inside the home we can do our RAFC as well. RAFC, we bring this out. But how are we able to do that? There's an extension here that we need to get, which is ES7 plus React Redux React Native snippets. Yes, over here, so you can see that. So we can use that actually, and once you are able to install it, you should be able to perform these same shortcut tricks. Okay, that's just by the way. I'm gonna go inside here, and I'm just going to return my home page. I'm just going to return the home page here because we've not set up any route yet. So return the home page. I'm gonna save that, and then I'm gonna go back and import this navbar here so that we see the changes. All right, so I'm going to just import this navbar, see the changes. Okay, alright, so let us go back into our browser and look. Okay, so it works just as we expected to. Let's move on to the next thing. Alright, so now that we have the navbar here, we want to move on to the next thing. Now the next thing is, let us go back into the page. Where is it? Chrome here. So inside the page, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have the logo around here, and then we're going to have the search bar in the middle, and then that's where you're going to now put in the timeline and home and stuff, with the notification and all these other things that come with it, right? So what you're going to do is, I'm going to go into the navbar component here. Okay, now in here we're going to create three divs. First I'm going to say the left, and then over here I'm gonna come down here and then put on the center, and then I'm gonna come here and put in right. Okay, so now that we have left, center and right divs, what do? We can create the div for the logo. So I can say logo div, or even creating for the logo div, we can have, okay, let me just create a logo div. Let me create a logo div here. Then inside the logo div here, I can create a new component called logo, right? So I can create like a new component called the logo. So new folder, and then create a component inside that folder, logo.jsx, and make it capital. Don't forget to make it capital. Logo.jsx, rafc, okay. Then over here we can just pass in like at each one, saying like let's name it social fully social. Okay, so now that we have this, what do we do? I want to color this. Okay, but let's not color it yet. So I'm going to go back in here, and then I'm just going to import our logo components. Okay, we have the logo component in here. Then at the end of the day, we need the search bar as usual. So in our search bar over here, what do we do? I'm going to, there are two ways we could create the search bar component in here, right? So I'm going to say search bar, alright. Then we can just create, like, we can basically put in an icon, and then we can have the inputs right under it, right? And then yeah, we can keep going, right? So how do we get the icon? I'm going to go into the browser, and I'm going to go and search for react icons. Okay, so react icons. If I go into the page, okay, they've been able to now arrange everything nicely. Okay, so the UI has changed. So inside react icons, I'm going to search for search, and then we should be seeing some really cool images here. Okay, which one should I pick? Yeah, I'm just going to take CI search. Okay, I think I'm going to come down and select some of these. I don't like this one. Which one should I pick up? So many options. Okay, so TI search. So what I can do is I can just copy this, right? And then I can go back into my VS Code and paste, but we would get an error. But let me just paste it here. Now the reason why I'll get an error is because we've not installed React icons. So I'm going to say npm I react icons, and then we should be able to get it done. So npm I react icons. Now as it's installed, let's just use the components. So I'm going to say IO search, then we have the IO search, then inside here we're just going to use our input. So the input is going to be a text with the class name of search for the meantime, so that we know that we are dealing with search. Then we can have like a search button or something. Or let's just leave it for now. And then down here that we have gotten to the right side, this is where we are going to be doing a bunch of divs and stuff. So yeah, so down here on the right side, what do? We're going to have two extra divs, right? So we're going to have the one with the home links. So I'm going to say tab links. Actually, I'm going to say tab links, and then inside the tab links we're going to have so I'm going to say tab link 1 and tab link 2, right? So tab link 1, and then tab link 2 right under it, right? Let me do it here. Tab link 2. Okay, let me make this a number. Yeah, tab link 2. Okay, then we have the first tab link that we have is going to be what? Home, right? And the second tab link is going to be timeline. Okay, so we have the timeline and the home. Now what do we do next? We want to have the icons that basically if you go here, into our project. Let me refresh. Okay, then that means we sort of have some errors going on here. Let's check. Let's look at the reference. The logo is not defined. Logo is not defined. So I'm just gonna go back. Says logo is not defined. Maybe it's not imported. So I'm going to import it. Okay. So now that we've been able to import it, we can check, and then it's here. Okay. So we have social, home, and timeline. Okay. So home and timeline. Then I think it's way too light, right? Let me go back to Google Font and see, because I remember it had some extra stylings to it, so that we at least be able to handle. So I'm going to copy this extra one, and then I'm going to go into the index here, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, let's go back, and then into the project, and then we should see everything seems more normal now. So okay, right now we have the two nav links here, home and timeline, right? So what do? I want to add the icons that follow, right? So now that we've been able to get this, I want to say tab icons. Okay, so tab icons here, we are going to be passing in a number of things, right? A number of icons that we need, right? So but before that, we want to create the first div for the first icon. So I'll say tab icon 1, and then basically that one is going to contain the person. So it's like the profile icon or something, right? So for that, we might want to go and get our icon from React icons. So I would say person. Okay, yeah, I think this is the best one. Okay, IO person sharp. Okay, so I'm copying this. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna paste it. Now that I have that in here, I can just import IO person. Okay. Right. Now that I have IO person, I want to create me a span of 1. Right. Okay, now I have this span. So this span is basically what is going to represent the badge or notifications, if you get what I'm trying to say, right? So we have the span attached to this. Let us basically create a class name, because there are going to be some stylings, and you can basically copy this. Oh no, you can basically copy this and then paste it here, and then paste it here as well. Then over here we can say 2, we can say 3, and then what are the changes that would make? We need the chat, so I'm gonna go into React icons and I'm gonna search for chats. Okay, I think I'm gonna take this one. Okay, I'm gonna copy this. And then over here. Okay, let me just import it as usual. Import it. Then over here I would use this is 1, 2, so chats. Chats. Right. So now that we have the chats, we want to add the last icon, which is the notifications, right? So what do we do to that? Let me change this to 2, so that we can easily identify in 3. Then I'm gonna go for the notifications icon. So here I'm gonna say notifications. Okay. Then I'll just copy this, and I'll go back to VS Code, and then I would paste and then copy this as well, and then paste it here actually. Okay, so now that it has been pasted there, we would want to, now that it has been pasted there, we want to go back and check our progress on the site, and we move on to the next thing if everything is okay. So now, as you can see, so this is the logo, we have the search bar, and then this is the search input, which would style, then this is the home link and the timeline, and we have all of these. So we would style them, and then you realize how simple things should look like, right? Okay, so let's keep going. So we're going to go straight into the styling, right? Now, moving on into the styling, I'm going to go back to the top div, the biggest div that we have, and then we're going to pass in some class names, right? Now, what is the first class name you want to pass? You want to pass in the height. You want to say the height is going to be 50 pixels. Okay, it's going to be 50 pixels. Now that we have 50 pixels on there, what do we do? Oh my cursor key not working. What do? We have our width being full. Okay, we have a full width, and then here we are going to set that BG to green 600. Okay, we have the BG green 600. Now that we have that, what do we do next? Now we have our display flex. Okay, we have our display flex, and then we have our items center, right? And then we want to send a position sticky. Okay, and then we want to make sure that the top of that position is 0. All right, now that we've been able to work on that, we want to basically set the flex positions, or the flex filling sizes of these left, center, and right div items, right? But it looks like Tailwind doesn't just have that type of flex control right off the bat. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create like this style prop, and then I'm going to pass in the flex in myself. So I'm going to say flex here, and then this flex is going to be what? This flex is basically going to be 3. Okay, then what I can do is I can copy this, and then pass it on to the center here. Pass it on to the center and set this to 5, and then I can do same for right. And set this to 4. Okay, so now that I've been able to set this up real quick, we need to make sure that, I think when we go back and look at this, I think we are just left with one more thing, that is the profile picture, right? Now I went to pixels and I went to find me profile picture. I think, which one was the one I took? It was right around this side somewhere, but regardless, it's already in my VS Code. So I'm going to go into the assets. So what happens is, when you get the profile picture, you just drag and you just drop it, right? Just drag and drop it inside your assets folder here, and it should be here. I can just rename it to profile pic .jpg. Okay, so I can rename to profile pic.jpg, and then I'll just import it. Alright, so this is how I'm going to import it real quick. I'm going to say import profile pic from, now just set the path to assets, and then I can say what? Profile pic .jpg basically. So now that we have profile pic.jpg, I would go into okay, this is where this one ends. This is where this other one too also ends. So what I can do is I can basically add this one and say what? Profile pic, right? Profile pic div. Right, inside the profile pic div, I can pass in an image I'm passing an image. Oh, like I'm passing an image. Now inside this image, I'm going to pass in the variable that we imported, right? So I'm going to say what profile pic. Okay. Now that I have this, I'm going to go into the class name section, and then I'm going to say that I'm giving it a width of let me give it a specific width in pixels. So I'm just going to say 32 pixels, and then I'm going to give it a specific width of a specific height of what 32 pixels over here. Alright, now that I've been able to do that, let us go back and see what we have inside our project. Okay, so as you can see, there has been a division. Just in case you can't really see the division. Okay, I'm going to set this to object cover so that it doesn't look stretched. Just going to set this to object cover because right now it looks a bit stretched. Alright, yeah, now it looks okay. So what I'm going to do is over here, just so you can see the differences, I'm just going to set this one to BG red maybe 300 or 400 at least, right? BG red 400. I'm gonna come here, set the BG yellow, then I can come here and set BG blue. Then you should see the differences in the flex changes that we made, right? So over here, this is where we are going to start making our changes, right? But before that, let me just go let's just go and clean up everything that I've done with the stylings. Okay, and then from there we can move on to the next step. Alright, so we are back and we want to go on into the logo. Right now we want to come here and then apply certain styles, right? Because when you go back into the browser and look at the logo, it certainly doesn't look like one. So what we want to do is I want to say that it's basically going to want to have a number of things, right? Now what I can do is I'm just gonna create like a class name and then see that this logo is going to have a text of white first of all, and then I want to say that the font is going to be bold. Yes, the font, I want font bold. Okay, now let me go and check how it's looking like. Okay, it's looking pretty cool. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to increase the font size really quick. I'm going to say text LG. Let's see text LG first before we see if we do it. No, text LG isn't that big. So what we'll do is we'll make it text XL. Okay, text XL, which should make it a lot more bigger. Then we give it like a margin left right here. So what are we going to do? I'm going to say that we are going to give it like a margin left of 24 pixels or something. So margin left of what? 24 pixels. Yeah, so 24 pixels. Now let's go back and look at it. Okay, so this one looks like something we can use. Okay, so now that we have this working like we expected to, what do we do next? We want to go into the search, right? I want to go into the search. So what do we do? I want to go back into the Navbar, and then inside the search over here, I want to add certain class names, right? So first of all, the first class name that we want to add to our search, okay, the first class name that we want to add to our search is basically width, right? So what do? We say that width is going to have a full width. It's going to have a specific height of what, 30 pixels. So you're going to give it a height of 30 pixels here, right? Now after we have the height, we want to say that the BG, okay, the BG is going to be what, white as usual. Okay, now the BG being white, we are going to have the border radius. We're going to have the border radius. So for the border radius, we are going to do a rounded because it's Tailwind, right? So you want to give it like a rounded MD. Okay, let me see how that looks actually. Okay, rounded MD. No, I don't like this one, so I'm going to make it a LG. So rounded LG actually. So I'm going to say rounded LG. Okay, then okay, I'm going to have to increase the rounded a bit. Rounded XL. Let's see what we get from that. Okay, I think this one is pretty cool. Okay, I'm guessing this is the actual search bar. All right, so now that we've been able to work on that, we want to make sure that it's a display flex, and then we are aligning the items, right? So what are we going to do? I'm going to say flex. And then we align the items. So we say item center. Okay, now that we've been able to do that, and we go back, you should see that they are inside here. Okay, now what do we do next? What do we do to search icon that is here, right? I want to go back into VS Code. Right, and make certain changes, right? So for the icon, for the search icon here, I'm going to add like a class name. And I'm going to increase the size a bit. So I'm going to increase the size and give it I think I can see the sizes when I give space here. So I can say MD, or I think LG. Yeah, can give it like a large text or something. Let's go back, and you see that the size should increase with a fair amount. And then over here, what I can do is I can give it like this. I can give it this margin left, and then the margin left is going to be, I'm going to give it the margin left, that is margin left. I think let me give it 10 pixels and see. Okay, so 10 pixels is okay. And then I'm basically going to now okay, so now that I have the margin left in here, I would want to move on into working on this one, which is the input search, right? So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to set the width to full. I'm setting the width to full, and then I am basically going to set it an on focus. Now when I focus on it, I want to make sure that I'm removing the outline. So I'm going to say outline should be set to none. Now let's go back and see how everything looks over here. Alright, so I want to remove the background color. Okay, so I'm going to set the BG none. I'm going to set the BG to none, and then I'm going to go back over here. Okay, it's like I can still see the BG in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove, okay, I'm going to basically remove, or I'm going to reduce the size. Actually, I'm going to reduce the size. So I would say I'll give it like a margin right or something. Let me see. Let's give it a margin right of, let's say, 10 pixels as well, and see what the changes that we. Okay, so as you can see, it is in here. Let's give it a margin left as well, or just give it a margin of 10 pixels in general. Let's see what we get out of it. Okay, so now you can see that there's a little bit of some separation between this one and the search. Okay, so now that we've been able to work on this, we can now make our simple changes over here. Okay, so let's move on to those changes now. Alright, so working on the right div, right, what you're going to do is we're going to set this to flex. Okay, then we're going to set the items to center. Okay, now that we have the items at center, we want to say justify around, right? So justify around. Then we want to set the color, or the text color, of all these other ones to what? White, right? So we set it to white. Now let's go and check it out and see how it looks. Alright, so we've been able to come up with this really cool design out here, right? Now what are we going to do next? We want to work on the links, right? These links, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the tab links, right? And then we're going to set these styles. We're going to set up I'm going to set up the font size, right? So I'm going to increase the font size. So I'm going to say so text LG. Let's see text LG actually. Text LG is pretty okay to as in my own view. Then text LG here. Then I have, what else do I want to add? I want to make sure that it's a cursor pointer. I want to make sure it's a cursor pointer, and then let's not forget that it still looks okay. So what we can do here is we can just set this to span. We can just set this to a span actually, so that they just go closer to themselves instead of rather turning them into a flex box again. So let's just make it a span here. Let's make this one to a span as well. Then go back to look at it. Okay, now they look okay. So what I can do is I can create like this margin left in margin right here between themselves actually. So margin right, then I'll set that margin right to be 10 pixels. Then let's go and look at it and see. Okay, it looks like it's controlling the full thing. We don't want that to happen. So what we could do right now is we could just clean this up and then set it as a flex again, and then set the gap, and then set the gap to be, let's say, 10 pixels. Okay, set the gap to be 10 pixels. Let's go back and check. Okay, the gap is 10 pixels actually. Okay, that looks fine to me. Then I want to set the fonts. Not the font actually, or I think I should set the font to I don't want okay, let's set the font to semi-bold. Yeah, semi-bold is okay. Then I'll go back to check on how it looks. Okay, there's no really any big change that has been made. There's no really any big change. I want to go to the logo and make a quick change here. I want to set this to extra bold so that we can differentiate between the logo and the links here. So the links here, I want to set it to bold. Let's see if it affects it. Okay, it looks like it's not affecting it. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this, I'll just cut it out, and then I'll place it inside here. Place it inside here as well. And let's go and check. Okay. So this is quite okay. And then what can we do next? Now that we've been able to have these two links working hand in hand with each other, what we want to do is we want to add the icon badges, right? So now for the top bar icons that we have over here, the tab icons, we can set that to a flex. Okay, we can set that to a flex, and then the items that we have in here, right? So icon 1 and all these other ones, the div that is containing them, what we want to do is we want to set that to first of all cursor pointer actually. Let's set that to cursor pointer. Let's set that to cursor pointer. Then we say it's going to have a position relative, right? Position relative. Relative actually. Relative. Right. So now that we have that working, let me look at it and see how it looks like. Okay, relative, right? So now that we have that, I want to go into the icon badge and work on a few things. Okay, so over at the icon badge, which is this one, right? What do we want to do? We want to set the width to 15 pixels actually, to 15 pixels. Then I want to set the height also to 15 pixels. Okay. To 15 pixels. Then over here, what we want to do is we want to add a bg red. Okay, so the bg red that we want to have there, green go with red. Let's just use red and see how it feels. Okay, let's see. We're taking this to, okay, so bg right, then we have the rounded full, right, rounded full. Okay, so that it becomes a circle, as we can see here. It's not that much of a circle because of a few things we need to handle along the line. So I'd say the text color should be what? Text white. Okay, now that we've gotten the text white, I want to say that the position is going to be what? Absolute. And then we set up the top to be the top is going to be what? -5 pixels, so that it goes inside through the left hand. And then we also set the right also to -5 pixels. Set the right to -5 pixels here, -5 pixels over here. Then what else do we add? Let's go and look at it. Okay. So you can see the changes being made. Over there. Now what do? We want to make sure that inside this circle that we had over there, inside the circle that we have here, we want to do a little bit of some changes in here, right? So what are the changes? I want to make sure that the one is inside and all these little changes. So I'm going to say that I'm going to set it to display flex, and then I'm going to align the items. So I'm going to do item center, then I'm going to say justify center as well. Then I'm going to set the font size to be something a little small, so I'm going to say text SM. Then let's go and look at it and see. Okay, so we can see the small changes that have been made inside here, but I can see that I think I need a little bit of some padding and some size to it. So okay, I'm going to check something over here. So before we apply anything, I want to make sure that I'm transferring the classes. To the rest of them. So I'm going to copy this and paste it. I'm going to copy this as well and paste it. Okay. And then let us look at them together before we make any other change. Okay, this is weird. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm basically going to clean up. I'm going to do this really quick clean up here. Okay, yeah, the reason why it's right off, you can just copy this and paste this as well. We need the position to be relative on these divs, so I'll just copy and paste this as well. Okay, so I'm sure if I go and check on it again, yes, it now looks okay. Now I can see that these ones and these ones are inside the same div. Let me fix that real quick. So inside here, I'm going to copy this, and then I'll hold Alt and I'll bring it down. Let's see the changes that we see. Let's go and check on the changes. Okay, it seems way too far. Way too far. But okay, I think we can just increase the font sizes here and see. Where is it? So the icons here, I can just say that the text should increase. So I'll say Excel. Let's see what happens. Okay, Excel seems to be a little bit okay. And then I want to increase the individual font sizes of the icons as well. So I'm going to say the class, and then I'll increase the sizes a little bit. Let me see the changes that I will see here. Still the same Excel. I'm going to say double Excel. Double Excel seems to be much better. Then I'll come here and make another change to the rest of them. So I'll just copy this class and then make another change to this one as well. And then I feel like at the end of the day, we should have something that looks nice as this, but I want to give it some gaps, so that we can be able to identify them and then boost how nice it looks. Okay, so I'm going to come here and I'm gonna add some gaps to it. So I'm gonna say the gap should be something like 10 pixels, you know. I want a gap of 10 pixels. Okay, let's go and look at it. Okay, so now it looks nice. I want to change the styling of my profile picture here. So I want to go back here, and then I'm going to go into the profile picture side, and I'll set the rounded to be what? Full. I'm going to set the rounded to be full, and then when we go back to look at it, we should see it looking as professional as usual. I'm going to set it to cursor pointer. Okay, cursor pointer, and I'm going to set cursor pointer on our logo as well. So the logo there, if I can just set the cursor pointer here, then at this point in time we can see that everything should be nice and clean. Okay, works and works. So now we are done with the top bar for now, the UI of the top bar, and I really appreciate you for getting to this point. And in the next section we're going to move on to more things, right? So we're going to be handling the search bar, we're going to be handling the sidebars and the posts and all these other ones, right? So thank you very much for getting to this point of the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss the next one. Make sure to turn on the bell too so that you get notified as soon as I drop the next video. Alright, see you next time.